Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Brat, you number one, girl. Number one in here tonight. All right. Good evening, PG. Much love. God bless. Prayers and love. Summer Moon, Utah Wells. Love and prayers for Miss Norway. And prayers and light, love and light to everyone in the chat. Hey, girl, we appreciate it. God bless. Number one. All right. Number two, Australia. All right, PG, much love. Hey, girl. Good to see you tonight. Good to see you. Mara, you're number three. Hello, PG and Summers Army. Much love. Much love to you, girl. Much love to you. And let's see who is number four. Ah, Mrs. Justice. Much love, PG. Prayers and much love. Hey, girl, appreciate it. God bless. God bless. He's got the scales of justice there. Amen. All right, let's roll down through here. Seeking truth. Hey, that is beautiful. Hello, PG mods and chat. Much love. Oh, that is gorgeous. Purple hearts and prayers for summer. God bless. Hey, Robin, good to see you, hon. Good to see you, Bridget. Good to see you. Missing puzzle pieces. Angel, good to see everybody in here tonight. Absolutely. Absolutely, girl. You know it. You know it. God bless. No summer, no peace. Hey, Lisa, how you doing, sweetie? There's Linda. Says hello, PG. Hello, hello, hello to you. Hey, Karen, how you doing tonight? Deputy Sheriff, good to see you. Don't forget to show Summer some love by giving this video a thumbs up. Amen. Amen. Absolutely. It will help. It will help to keep her channel going. It will help to also help other missing kids as well. Not just Summer, but other missing kids we cover as well here on this channel. But that isn't why I ask for the thumbs up. I ask because as we can see the stars in the sky, maybe, just maybe, Summer can look down here and see the thumbs going up and how many people love and care about her. You know, just maybe. Hey, Carrie, that is beautiful. Hey, PG Mods chat. Good to see you all. Much love to you, girl. Absolutely. Cindy, how you doing, sweetie? Good to see all you guys in here. Janet, Lucky. I'm trying to get as many as I can, you guys. As many as I can. Mary, good to see you. Tropicana. Hey, Dirtmouth, how you doing? Says, hey, PG, much love to all. Much love to you. Absolutely, the legendary welcome in. If you're just getting here, please go hit the like to keep Summer in something. Okay. Okay. Algorithm. I think that's what it is. Hey, Nicole, how you doing, sweetie? How you doing? Good to see you. Wanda, good to see you. Minnie Pearl. Cindy. All right. What I wanted to talk about tonight is I had just got some new information out here that about JodiSue. JodiSue in 2021, JodiSue did talk about the cemetery, Morrison Cemetery in 2021. Andy, I was being asked, PG, why would Andy come out here and ask, not ask, but have the audacity to say that she's in Morrison Cemetery. They're like, Why would he, I mean, if she's there, why would he say that? Because they ain't getting in any trouble. They're not, they have been telling the truth about a lot of things. And when law enforcement goes and to ask them about it, they say, they get away with it by saying they can say whatever they want to us out here as long as they're not saying it to them. And they just shut the door. They just basically shut the door on law enforcement. They know, that law enforcement can't do anything as long as they're not saying it to law enforcement. Like if JodiSue was to say, if she would have went to law enforcement and said, you go ask Andy, what he was giving those little girls, giving Candace to sedate little girls so they could be touched. Well, then it better be true. It best be true. Because if you give false information to law enforcement, you can actually, be prosecuted and put in jail for it. But if you come out here and you say it to all the YouTubers, and then law enforcement comes knocking on your door, which they did. They went to JodiSue's door. I know that for a fact. And they asked her about that particular thing that she said about Andy going over there selling, stuff to Candace to sedate the children, little girls to be touched, including Summer. The thing is, when they went to ask her, that's what they got. They got, did I say it to you? No, I didn't say it to you. I can say whatever I want, to these YouTubers. I can, basically bullshit them all day long, say any damn thing I want. And as long as I don't say it to you, why are you here? And, shut the door on them. And that's pretty much what they got. That's what they got from her. So, I guess it's okay, I guess it's okay to come out here and tell the truth as long as you tell law enforcement, that I didn't say it to you. And as long as I don't say it to you, it's not a crime, and shut the door in their faces. I guess you can get away with that. Matter of fact, these people seem to be getting away with a whole lot of things, because I think if law enforcement came and knocked on any of our doors to ask us about a statement like that, I think we would be getting took downtown. I think we would be getting, whether we want to go with them, the easy way or the hard way. I think we're going to be getting took downtown, even if they had to, get a court order to bring you in. You're probably going to get took in somehow, some way. So, why these people are getting, I don't understand it, to be honest with you. I'm not understanding, why this is going on with law enforcement. You've got to wonder. You got to wonder with everything they have, all the things that, because I know that they, people say, oh, there's no facts in Summer's case. Well, you must not be too intelligent if you're not seeing no facts in Summer's case. There is a lot of facts in Summer's case. Fact number one is Candace, Grandis, and Summer went into Kingsport, Tennessee, and picked up a 15-year-old child. Fact, they stopped at a smoke shop and they bought this child illegal substances. One of those things happened to be twisted teas and God only knows what else. And and they allowed this 15-year-old child to indulge in this illegal stuff at that swimming hole. Maybe even before they got to a swimming hole. These are all facts. Fact is, camera came on. This 15-year-old kid turns around, looks at the camera like, what the F are you doing? What the F are you doing? Fact, this 15-year-old child goes out and starts into the water towards, this missing child, Summer Moon Utah Wells, and the camera goes off. It goes off. That's the end of it. The next video we see is 3.2 miles away from Ben Hill Road. And this child is propped up on some milk jugs and boxes, all dressed, when this 15-year-old boy has said they put the boxes in the back of the truck, the back in the bed. The milk was in the bed of the truck. And that's what he was telling Chris. And then it went from the boxes are in the back of the truck and the milk was in the back of the truck to I was holding the milk. Oh, I was holding it. I set it in the middle. Well, if he set it in the middle, then that would have put Summer on the driver's side door. That would have put the milk in the middle, and that would have put his big ass right there, riding in the passenger side, in the back seat passenger side, behind Grandis. Now, when they got home, he says he don't remember how he got out. I don't remember how I got out. Yeah, you do. You went right out the door you got in, called the passenger side, back passenger door. You got the hell out. You ran up into the house. Summer got carried into that house, and she was wet, and she was in a bathing suit because Hunter said, pillow. Oh, well, she was laying against the driver's side door wet on that pillow because she's the only one went swimming. That's what he said. So if she was laying against the driver's side door all wet on that pillow, then she was not dressed after swimming. She was wet laying against that door when they went through back over to Walgreens. She was wet laying against that door through Sonic's. She was wet laying against that door at Priceless. And she was wet laying against that door when they got to Hunter's house. Just saying. Now, she was supposed to have a slushie along with, at Sonic's, they got slushies. Summer was supposed to have a slushie. To my understandings, a purple or blue one. I can't remember. If you can remember, please tell me. It was purple or blue. But I do know that there was no purple and there was no blue on Summer's mouth. What was on her mouth was pink. And it looked like pink lipstick because on one side of her mouth, lower lip, it is smeared. If you look at the picture, she's got lipstick, smeared pink lipstick on the bottom lip. Yes, she does. Absolutely. I have pulled it up. I have showed it. There is smeared lipstick on her face. So, why are you going to put pink lipstick on a child's face? After swimming, why are you going to put lipstick on a child's face? That don't make no sense. It just doesn't make no sense to me, And I believe she had foundation on her face as well. I can't, I can't prove it. But I bet you 10 to 1 she did. And I'll tell you why I believe she did. Because I think the bruising that we see on her head, the top temples and forehead spreading over into the forehead, really bad. That discoloration. I think that discoloration, was a lot worse. There's something over top of it. There's something trying to cover it up, because it should have been way worse than that. It looks like makeup over a black eye. That's what I'm saying. And I think we all know what that looks like. The shiner, you just can't cover it up. It's still, running through. The black eye kind of still runs through the makeup. Green Eye says, Andy Bernard says it doesn't involve whatever happened. Um, what what doesn't involve what doesn't involve what happened? What doesn't involve what happened? And then we got somebody named Green Eyes in here saying that I get Morrison in my readings. You do not have to believe in my readings. You just got a steel-toe boot in the ass out of PG's chat, Green Eyes. I don't believe in your readings, and I don't believe in the shit you do, and we don't mess with that stuff here. I'm sorry. This is no, actually, I'm not sorry, but, bottom line is we don't mess with woo-woo shit here. We believe in God Almighty. We believe in Jesus Christ. We believe in the Holy Spirit. We believe in angels that watch over us. We don't believe in woo-woo stuff. We don't believe in readings. You play with that stuff, you're going to Hades. I'm going to tell you that right now. You better read the Bible. And it tells me to stay the hell away from people like you. And that's what I plan on doing. And I'm going to keep my chat away from you too. I'm going to keep my chat away from you as well when they're in here. When they're on this channel, they will be away from you. I can't protect my chat in every other channel, but I will protect them here from that kind of disgustingness. Absolutely not. We believe in God, and we want God here, and God can't be here if we got woo-wooers in the chat running around, right? Talking about readings. Your readings don't come from God, and they don't come from Jesus Christ. Your readings come from somewhere we want nothing to do with. Just saying. You might want to think about stopping that reading and finding the Lord. That's what I'm talking about right there. But you just got put out of here. Because I don't believe in that shit. Absolutely not. The devil's a fucking liar. The devil's a liar. And I'm going to tell you something. You really think the devil's going to give you all the answers with your readings? That's insane. That, all you're going to get is a bunch of bad juju on your ass where you're trying to run from it and you ain't going to be able to, right? You're going to have shit haunting your ass up. That's weird. Yeah, none of that shit in here. You got that right. You got to go. But anyway, I done a comparison for you guys with Andy. Everybody was asking, please, PG, could you do comparisons with Andy, out in the woods? Everybody's hearing that it was Andy, out in the woods. And so forth and so on. But before I do that, I'm going to talk about what I came in here to talk about, because a lot of people say, oh, I came in here to hear about JodiSue and what JodiSue done, you know, what's in your title. So I'm going to handle the title tonight. I'm going to handle the title first. And in the title, you know, I let you guys know that, JodiSue was talking about that cemetery, right? She was talking about, you bet yourself she was. Now, I want to go back to the beginning of, June 15th, 2021. I want to go to the morning, okay, of June 15th, 2021. Matter of fact, if you like to, we could go back to the 14th when Don Wells changed up vehicles and went to work and fired his co-worker in order to blame June the 15th on, right? He's going to blame it all on Dudley come the 15th. So this shit was definitely pre-planned, in my opinion. So, you got these three people here at the top, Donald, Candace, and Grandis. They go shave this baby's head completely bald. That is a hard picture to look at, because you cannot believe someone would do a little girl like this. They have her dancing in front of a for-sale barrel. After they have her dancing in front of a for-sale barrel, they take her, and she looks sedated right here in this picture. You see Don Wells holding her, and she's passed out. Well, yeah, they take her out. They put her in the vehicle, him and Candace, and they drive off somewhere. Dudley's wondering where the hell did they go with this little girl who is asleep. The boys were hollering, where are you taking Sissy? Where are you taking Sissy? But they wouldn't answer. They just got in the vehicle and they left. And even Dudley's like, why are you taking that kid? It's asleep. Why ain't you taking the kids that are awake and let old grandma watch the one that isn't? But they didn't do that. And that made Dudley suspicious. He's like, where are they taking this kid that's knocked out, on Don's shoulder? Where are they taking this kid at? But they left with her. And, nobody knows where they went. This is 18 days. 18 days before Summer came up missing. They took her off somewhere. 18 days. Okay? Well, and 18 days later, Summer's completely missing. Don Wells says in this picture right here that he was crying because he knew real soon Summer was going to be gone. And she was. On June 15th, 2021, 18 days later, you guys. 18 days. That, that's like 2 weeks. She's gone. Okay? And I'm going to tell you something. These mother freakers, from the time they cut that baby's hair, they done started plotting against her. They done started to plot against her. That's in my opinion. That's how I feel. That's what I think, and I will keep thinking it. On June 15, 2021, Grandis and Candace, they use Grandis's need to go into Kingsport, Tennessee, and pick up this 15-year-old kid. As I said, they gave illegal substances to, twisted tea for one. He drank it. Like I said, the video camera came on. He looked at it like, what the F you doing? Right? I knew something wasn't right then. Why would he care if a video camera comes on if they don't plan on doing anything, anything sinister? Why would they care if they're not doing nothing that they don't want to be seen? As he goes out into the water, the camera goes off. Right? And out of his own mouth, he says Summer was in that vehicle, all wet on a pillow, laying against the driver's side door. He says they moved them boxes to the back of the trunk. The milk was supposed to even be in the back of the trunk at one point. He was talking, and then he says, oh no, he had it. And then he put it in the middle. Well, if he put it in the middle, it would have been between him and Summer, which puts him on the passenger side, back passenger side of Grandis. That's how he got out. Now I'm going to tell you, when they got themselves to Allison's house, I believe that's where Summer was dressed. I believe that's where pink lipstick was stuck on her face. That's where I believe some makeup, probably some compact. was put on her face. Even Allison was like, oh, I seen Summer on my porch and she told me I'm home. You know, that's Allison's way of telling you Summer's no longer with us. And Allison was trying to convince Chris M that Summer was not alive on those milk jugs. But Chris, you know, all of a sudden, Chris throws Hunter in the middle of it. And then she backs out like, no, I think it's a 10. She was a lot, you know, because she wants to save her boy. And I can't blame nobody for that. I mean, if somebody took your 15-year-old son off somewhere and had him do something super sinister to a 5-year-old child, I mean, you know, and you know whose fault it is, but the court ain't going to see it that way, right? The court ain't going to see it that way. Then you're going to try your best. You're going to try your best to protect your 15-year-old boy because, you know, because this lousy person that, you know, haid your son up or your daughter up to do something so sinister, you know, and you know that your child's going to go down for something that these adult people, well, you know, have been plotting and ploying on and carried out on this day. So, you know, I can see where Allison was coming from. Absolutely. You know, as much as we like to sit and say, nah, I would turn my son in and I'd turn my daughter in and I would do this. And I'm going to tell you something, man. I'm going to tell you, you can talk all you want until you're in this situation. You can talk all you want, say all these things, you know, but you know what? Wait till you're in the situation because it's a whole different ball game when it's you. A whole different ball game. You know, some parents might turn their kid in, but there's a hell of a lot that won't. There's a hell of a lot that will not. You know, they're going to protect their kid at all costs because that's their child. That's their child, and their child has a life ahead of it, and that life is going to be destroyed by, you know, by some old goats like Candace and Grandis, who used that child to do something sinister and evil. You know, but that ain't the way the court of law sees it. The court of law sees, you know, that this child is an individual. This child was there. This child, you know, went along with this stuff, did whatever these people wanted, and that child is going to be held responsible for its part in its actions in such a crime. That's the way our law system works. And we all know it. We all know it. So, you know, of course they're going to tell him to keep his mouth shut. Of course they're going to tell him, you know, if you don't, you're going to end up, you know, you're going to end up doing a lot of years, you know, over something that these two old people, you know, swindled you into doing. And they got you, you know, they got you some illegal substances to alter your mind before you done it. You know, so I can see where they're coming from. And I can see why Hunter would be afraid. I see why he's afraid, you know, like he came out and said, do I have to live with this the rest of my life? Am I just supposed to live with it? Yes. Yes. If you don't want to go to prison, yes, you will have to live with it. And that's what Allison told him. That's what Allison told him. Now, at that particular time, I think that, you know, Hunter could have been offered a deal. I think that he could have been offered, you know, like, he could have been offered clemency, meaning, you know, or immunity. He could have been offered immunity. Clemencies when they try two cases differently, and they ain't allowed to do that. But so, you know, he could have got immunity, meaning that he wouldn't have went to jail. He would have been able to be free had he just, you know, worked with law enforcement and told exactly what went down, what happened at the swimming hole, how they propped everything up, um, how they got him into a fix and all the things. Candace and Grandis would have went to prison. Don Wells would have went to prison, but Hunter probably wouldn't have. He had a bargaining chip at the beginning. I don't know if, I don't think he has that now. I don't think he has that now. I mean, he could have. I don't know, but I doubt it. I think right now the bargaining chip is, I think the law enforcement's already figured out that Summer wasn't alive on those milk jugs. I think they done figured that one out because Ronnie Lawson said, ask them why they waited 4.5 hours to call law enforcement. So he put Summer back on the milk jugs and he put her there unalived. So, that's just the way it is. That's the way it is. That's my opinion. And the thing is I don't think Hunter really has a bargaining chip anymore. But I do think that Chad Arnold does. If they exhume that grave and Summer's in there and Chad Arnold knows she's in there, well, he's going to prison. He's going to prison for a long time, over 10 years, way over 10 years. So he's going, because they're going to give them max. They're going to make an example out of these people. So, because Tennessee is fed up. They're fed up with, all of these criminals getting away with stuff. So if they was to exhume that grave and that baby's in there, Chad Arnold would be looking at a good 10 years or more, probably way more. Because, 10 years, that's just for, abusing an online person like that. And then they're going to attack all kinds of other stuff, his accessory to the crime, and they're going to attack on a whole lot more. So he, like his days are done. I mean, he's going to be super old man before he sees daylight again, right? And but right now he could get clemency. He could not clemency. I don't know why I keep talking about clemency. He could get immunity, which means he won't spend a day in jail, not one day. So I'm going to tell you, these people's going to need some clemency. They need to do their homework on cases like this and see how they were tried, so that they can, so they won't get tried any different. They better hope somebody got away with some shit, because if nobody did, they're not going to get away with it either. That's how a lot of people get out of jail. They go to the library, prison library, and they get into the law books and stuff, and they actually learn about the laws, and then they either represent themselves or they get someone to represent them, and they get out, because if they can find a case that was tried differently with, less sentencing and everything than theirs, the same type of case, only tried differently, then sometimes they can use that case and to get the same amount of time and everything, and sometimes out of prison. So, that's people who are smart and, and really try to get educated and get themselves out of the doghouse, as you could say. But, at the beginning, June 15, 2021, this is what happened in the morning. This is the morning that they spent inside of Kingsport, Tennessee. And there is Summer. That's how the back seat looked at the bottom right there. Hunter on one side, Summer on the other. Summer had a pillow underneath her because she was in a bathing suit wet against that door. She was not dressed in these clothes until after they went into Allison's place and got her dressed. That's my opinion, and I bet you I'm right. Hunter got out of that passenger side door over there and walked around, ran up in that damn house. That's what he did. He ran up in that damn house, shaking and rocking and rolling and everything else, right? Because he had to sit there in that back seat and look at that child against that door through Walgreens, through Sonic's, at the grocery store by himself, because even Grandis fled the car. He had to sit there by himself, and and then all the way to his house. I'm pretty sure for a 15-year-old kid that would have been hard to sit next to an unlived person all the way through all of this. If you ask me, I think it would have been very hard. And of course, he's going to be shaking and rocking back and forth and almost freaking losing his mind up in there. Absolutely. That had to be a lot. That had to be a lot. But they staged her up, as you can see. They put the boxes back in, put the milk in, staged her up on those milk jugs to go back into Ben Hill Road because they were afraid the tree trimmers might still be in there. And that's why they wanted to cover that particular window, because that would have been the window towards the side of where the tree trimmers were working. And they wanted to keep her in the middle right there, looking like she was asleep as they went into Ben Hill Road. Now they already had it planned who they was going to hand her off to, and this whole day was planned. They already had it planned, to pick up Hunter, because Hunter was already up. He was waiting to be picked up, and no kid on summer break's going to be up waiting to be picked up that early in the fucking morning. I don't care what anybody says, but he was. This was all planned to a T, way ahead of time, and carried out on June 15th, 2021. That's my opinion. And Candace went back to Hunter's house on a couple occasions. And I even heard where Hunter said that Candace came back to get something. That came out of his mouth, that she showed up to get something. When he went through her phone, she showed up to get something. I think that get something was Summer's bathing suit that they had took off of her, and the stuff they had took off of her. I think Allison washed it up and folded it up, and Candace was retrieving it. She was picking it up. And, and Candace was running the show. Candace saw Allison as a weak human being, as a weak individual, and she took full damn advantage of it. Let me tell you that now. She wouldn't do that with a lot of people, because a lot of people, Candace only does that with people she feels is weak. It's too bad that Allison wasn't more feisty, more, you better not mess with me type person. I think, put it this way. The people I know, Candace wouldn't even step a foot in her damn house. She wouldn't even come around their damn house. Matter of fact, the people I know wouldn't have nothing to do with the likes of Candace Wells. Period. But if she came around trying to force her shit, she wished she didn't. She ain't going to do that shit. Not where I come from. They don't tolerate overbearing bastards like that. You just don't, you can't put up with these kind of people. These are the kind of people, man, that you got to stand firm and ready with all the time. But Allison didn't do it. So Allison, took advantage of. Her children took advantage of. There's a whole lot of shit. I ain't got a lot of time tonight to go over all the stuff that went on, with Allison and Allison's family. Because I'm going to tell you, Candace and Don Wells had their kids up there, and I got a lot more insight. Than just, this little bit here. There was some real shit going on with Allison's children and the Wells. Trust and believe me, a whole lot. Anyway, this is the second half after you see the video of the milk jug right here, right there, that's right there, you know, 3.2 miles away from Ben Hill Road, 110 Ben Hill Road, right there on the milk jugs. That's when this video was taken. This is after she was dressed up. This is after, they put makeup on her. And I'm telling you, there is lipstick on this child's lips. I don't care what anybody says. There's lipstick, and it is smeared. It is smeared right there on the right hand side, down below her lip. And I'm telling you, it looks to me like there is foundation. Foundation has been put on her face, because even her nose doesn't look right. Her nose does not look right. I'll do some comparisons. And show them to you, so you can see what I mean when I say there's makeup on this child's face, because there is. There definitely is. And you can see her hood's pulled where they used it to, because these people are big people. These are some, Candace is a big person. Grandis is, Hopalong Cassidy that day. And, you got Lord of Mercy, Allison, who was huge. And you have, Hunter shaking and rocking and all kinds of weird shit in his room, won't come out. I think, and I think Allison said he wouldn't come out because they was wanting him to help with Summer, help get her propped up in here, and he wasn't having it. He wasn't having it. He's like, he was done fried. He was fried from everything that done went down. And that's my opinion. And, so he wasn't about to help prop this child up. That's why you could see her hood pulled the way it was, because you have these big people out there, that can't hardly do nothing. You got Candace, she's a sloth, right? She's a sloth. She's a lazy sloth. And you got Grandis, like I said, she's hopping along and done got a big shot in the freaking knee. I bet that shit hurt. And, and then you got Allison. I mean, she probably couldn't even fit in the door to help prop this up. So, you got these women out there trying to work together to get this done. And this is the result of it. They was pinning her all in and everything and staging her up. And you can tell it's staged because, they're too ignorant. They're too ignorant to understand that if she would have laid on that milk jugs herself, the hood would have been behind her, not pulled like that. Her arms wouldn't have been all pinned in the milk jugs. She would have, kept that one arm on top of the milk jug right there, because, it would have put her arm to sleep to have it pinned like that. In that laying on it and pinned up like that, it would have put the arm and her hand to sleep. So she would have definitely had it over top of that milk jug, and she'd have probably had her hand up under her head, to keep the coldness off of her temples. That's pretty much what a kid will do. It'll cover its temple with this hand if it's going to lay against something that's too hot or too cold, because it don't want to feel the heat or the coldness on the side of its head and face. That's very bothersome. Just saying. This is definitely staged. This is not a kid that just, on the way home, joyfully happy and decided to, lay over and fall asleep. Hell to the no. And then, once she got back to Ben Hill Road, she calls Marlena on the phone. She meets up with Chad Arnold down at Fred's house. This weirdo guy right here, Mr. Jimmy Long, right? He's been saying some weird stuff. I heard he's been saying some real weird stuff about Summer's case. And, law enforcement's looking for him. Why? Because of this gravesite right here in Morrison Cemetery. This gravesite. They want to talk to these two because law enforcement knows something about this gravesite right here that we don't. And probably what they know about it is these two had something to do with digging it, And they also know that old that old Chad Arnold met up with Candace that day. She followed him right out of Ben Hill Road. And people say, oh, the cameras would. No, there ain't no cameras on mother freaking Ben Hill Road. There is no and even if there was cameras down on Beach Creek, even if there was cameras on Ben Hill or Beach Creek, this cemetery, this particular cemetery, sits up on a hill, so the cameras below wouldn't be able to catch anything up there anyway. Just like they're not going to catch nothing up on 110. It's not going to catch nothing over at Andy's. You know, they can only catch what is on the road if there was, but there wasn't. There was only one camera, and that particular camera was a trail cam that was at a neighbor's property as you go out. As you come down and you get ready to go out onto Beach Creek, out of Ben Hill onto Beach Creek, there was a trail cam that belonged to a neighbor who turned it into law enforcement because it actually had on it the video of Candace following. It watched Chad Arnold come in and go down, and then it seen Chad Arnold come out and Candace coming out behind him. There you go. So, you know, and that's the only camera that, you know, that I've heard was anywhere in sight, and that's the camera that caught Candace and Chad Arnold, and that's the reason that law enforcement called Candace back in and questioned her about coming out twice after they arrived home. They said, we know for a fact you came out 2 times after coming back into Ben Hill Road. And she did. And she did. She came after she got into Ben Hill Road with Grandis and Summer. She came back down, went down to Fred's house and met up with Chad Arnold and followed him out onto Beach Creek. And then she came back. She went back up on the hill to stage all the BS, telling the boys, where's your sister, running down into the basement, doing all this bullshit. And then, you know, calling law enforcement after she called Dawn, calling law enforcement. And then she got in that vehicle, Grandis's vehicle, came back down off the hill. That's when she met up with JodiSue. And she was riding around trying to hide from law enforcement. She wanted to ride around like she's looking for Summer, but she was really riding around to, you know, not meet up with law enforcement until Dawn got there. She was trying to stay on the phone. Actually, it was a video call. She was trying to stay on there with Don Wells in order to not have to, you know, face law enforcement. She left Grandis up there with the boys to face law enforcement. Well, she took her ass and ran. So, you know, why would you run? I mean, why would you be out running away from law enforcement? I mean, I would think you would want to talk to them. I think they, you know, they are the ones you would want to correspond with if your child was really missing the way they tried to act like she was. But they weren't, you know, they wasn't acting right. Law enforcement knows they weren't acting right. But, you know, this grave site right here was an open grave site on June 15th, 2021. It was sitting over there in Morrison Cemetery because Timothy Morrison had passed away on the 11th. He was, you know, not to be buried till the 18th. And usually they dig the grave a few days prior to the person being put down. And, you know, and they put the big tent up. They put the big tent up over top of it so, you know, it doesn't get rained in and so forth and so on. And people know not to be messing around there because there's an open grave. Common sense right there. So, you know, that's what was going on June 15th. Now, personally, I think that Summer was already, if she's in this grave, well, she got put in it before law enforcement was even called. That's what Candace was doing. Candace followed Chad over to make sure that Summer got put in. And that's what, you know, why she was missing at almost an hour and a half, because she was over there surveillance and everything and watching. And then you know, and it wouldn't have took long. It wouldn't have took long, you know, to move some dirt and put a childish size underneath it and cover it up. And then that's when she went back into Ben Hill Road, back up on the hill, staged all the bullshit, called you long, you know, she already knew. She already knew that everything's taken care of. It's done. Everything's done. Right? Absolutely. Just saying. And that's where these people come into play. You know, they're the second half. They're the second half after the video was taken. But here you got, you know, you got on JodiSue, you got, you know, the son, and you got Andy. JodiSue and the son was saying, oh, we heard an animalistic scream. We heard this big animalistic scream, right? It's unfounded. It's unfounded. And it came way too damn early. Because they would have, Candace, Grandis, and Summer would have been outside planting flowers, washing her hands, getting a piece of peppermint candy, her favorite. She wouldn't even have been close to the house yet because she didn't even come up missing until 5:55, according to Candace. Right? Damn near 6 o'clock. So how in the hell could an animalistic scream be Summer when she's in the middle of having so much fun with Grandma and Mommy? Right? Right. And you know, Andy's at work just like Don Wells. He's got his GPS. He's got, you know, Don's got his freaking Starlink to cover his backside. That's the way it is. That's the way it is, you guys. But you know, there's a lot more to these people right here. You know, they got some kind of dog in the race. I don't know what that dog is, but if you ask me, they got a dog in the race. And, you know, Andy Bernard says right there plainly on the screen, I'm the real Andy B. I think she's in Morrison Cemetery. I'm not scared to say it. I'm not scared to say it, he said. Right? Now, that's in 2025. But in 2021, here we got good old JodiSue says it was filled in and the service held right here. She says there was a freshly dug grave, and she said it was filled in, and the service held. The service held is so blurry. After Summer vanished, around from across from the houses. She says, "Do you know who it was?" She says Morrison Cemetery, about 10 feet from the end of Ben Hill Road, which was just right across the road. Hell yeah, the cemetery's right across the road. And then she says there's also a grave there that used to have, she's trying to change the subject now. She said used to have a giant metal on topping you could lift up and hide shit under. But I never was able to go see if it was still like that. What do you mean, JodiSue? You was able to go over all the way over to old Miss Goad's house, right? You could go all the way to Miss Goad's house, her and her daughter's home, and you could run yourself all over their yard, right? They caught you out there. They said, what are you doing? And you started talking about clinking metal. I heard clinking metal. I heard clinking metal is what you was saying. And they said, we're calling law enforcement right now. And you took your ass and you ran. You got out of there ASAP. And it's a funny thing because after you were there, they found a footprint. They found a footprint out there in the area where she was running that ass around, supposedly belonging to Summer. So I don't know, you know, just saying they did find a footprint in that area where she was that day. This was very shortly after Summer came up missing. But as you see, and this was 2021. This right here was 2021. She was talking about that graveyard. You know, people were hearing it, but nobody was listening. She got away. She got away with talking about it because, you know, nobody really caught on to this particular, you know, discord that she was in. And she said this in Discord, that, you know, and there ain't a lot of people in those. So she got away with it. She got away with it. But, you know, she ain't getting away with it now because we got a hold of it. We're bringing it out here. And, you know, I appreciate this, Fred Hill. I appreciate it. Fred Hill is the one that sent me this. Fred Hill is the one that, you know, said, PG, guess what I got? He sent it to me. And he said that he doesn't mind me letting you guys know that, you know, behind the scenes, he is doing all he can to help with Summer's case and, you know, and to try to find evidence, you know, more evidence to make this grave site more solid for law enforcement to consider pulling it up and checking to see if Summer's in it. So behind the scenes, Fred is trying to help get this, you know, particular gravesite exhumed as much as we are. You know, and he's trying to find all the stuff he can as well to, you know, make it more solid with what these people were saying at that particular time. So he sent this to me, letting me know that, you know, on 10/6 of 2021, PG, JodiSue was in a Discord, and this is what she was saying. She was talking about that cemetery. She was talking about it being an open grave. She's out here now acting like it's all silly and that they dug the grave the same day they put the person in it and all this bullshit. But he's like, no, this is proof right here that that was an open grave for a few days before, you know, a few days before it got filled in, and she knew it. She knew it. This is 2021. So what do you got to say now, JodiSue? Because this is you. You're Bunny. You are Bunny 4891. Good old Bunny baby, right? And you was running your mouth about Morrison Cemetery, and you thought no one going to pull this out on you. Well, we just pulled it out on you. We just pulled it out. We just proved that your ass knew about this cemetery. You knew. You calling Andy silly and saying that, you know, he's seen exactly what you guys done. I bet he did. I bet he did. No doubt in my mind. You all might have been up there for all I know. I mean, Fred did say that he saw Andy around that area that day, around the exact time that Chad Arnold and Candace would have been coming out of Ben Hill Road, going over to Morrison Cemetery. So he, you know, and who knows, you might have been over there too, JodiSue. You know, you were down on the road, and I remember Candace saying, put a 1 in the chat if you remember Candace saying that JodiSue was down on the road around 4:30 that day. Just standing down on the road. Way before Summer supposed to came up missing. Candace said, I seen her on the road. I think all of these mother freakers might have went over there. I think JodiSue, Andy, freaking Candace, Chad Arnold, I think they all might have went over there to, you know, to do this little dirty deed. You know, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they wasn't all over there, you know, watching it go down. Just saying. Yeah, absolutely. You know, this is all coming together. It's all coming together. It's starting to make sense. It's starting to make sense. Right? It is absolutely starting to make sense. Yeah. You know, and Chad and Laura, you know, they was out of there. They was out of Ben Hill Road. They was, you know, out. I don't know what they were doing. I have no idea what they were doing. But they were out of there. You know, they wasn't in Ben Hill Road. They wasn't in Ben Hill Road. You know, Fred said he saw Andy in there, you know, earlier, which he might have. He might have. Seeing that JodiSue said, you know, she did make a statement. You seen exactly what we did. She made that statement. So, you know, you tell me. I mean, you can't see something. You can't see. Yeah, and Andy's supposed to, you know, um, well, Andy, according to JodiSue and your daughter, yes, you did. Matter of fact, you're supposed to be the last one. You were supposed to be the last one to see Summers on live body, Andy, according to your daughter and JodiSue. Matter of fact, your daughter said that you were saying it to her and Bubs, her brother, and her mom, that you was, really telling about it. JodiSue said you were really telling about it. Matter of fact, something about you supposed to picked it up. You were supposed to go pick it up, right? No, it ain't whatever. And Andy, while you're in here, which is a good thing. It's a good thing, glad you came to the party tonight. But while you're in here, why don't you answer a question? Why don't you answer a question about your dream? I heard somebody ask you, they said, Andy, what exactly did you dream? You said it was a dream. First of all, you said JodiSue was just crazy as hell and, wanted to say crazy things. But now, and then you used to come back like months later and said it was a dream. And now, you're saying again that it didn't happen, what is it? What is it? Because we would like to know. And why did you send Candace that text saying it's done? Why did you send that to her? It's done. And but you sending her it's done, meaning, you got a hold of Chad Arnold and the people over there digging on that grave, and it's done. They're going to let you put her in there so that she won't be found. Is that why Dom walks around and he's like, oh, Summer ain't going to ever be found, with that shitty little grin on his face? Like when he told the news lady, oh, I can ask you the same question, right? And he gives that little shit-eating grin like he got away with everything. I'm going to tell you, they exhume that grave, there's going to be a lot of asses getting brand new bracelets, right? There's going to be a whole lot of asses getting brand new bracelets on. And you know what? Right now, law enforcement is looking into exhuming it. There's people up there watching it. Don B was just up there taking a look-see to make sure nobody's using a backhoe or anything trying to dig it out of there before law enforcement gets to it. I heard law enforcement's been patrolling that area more now and keeping an eye. So, obviously they're going to, they're doing everything they can now through the court system and everything to, get what they need to get it done. That's all they need is a court order. They just need, a judge to sign off and a court order, and they can go out there and just bring it right out. They don't need nobody's permission. If they got probable cause, and that's all you need is probable cause, they can go right out there and pull it up out of there and take a real good look. And boy, if they find that child, is it going to be all bad? Man, it's going to be real bad. They're going to be looking for Andy. They're going to be looking for JodiSue. They're going to be looking for Candace and Donald and Grandis and Hunter. They're going to be looking for Chad Arnold. They're going to be looking for his buddies. They're going to be looking for quite a few people, right? Probably even the Morlocks. I mean, yeah. And they're going to be like, what the hell was you group of people doing up here? What the hell was you up here doing? What dog do you all have in a race? You got to have something in all of this, because if you didn't have something, you wouldn't have been grouping together to get it all done, right? You want to talk about that, Andy? You want to talk about it? And answer me this. Why was you running to Light Cemetery and all over other places instead of Morrison Cemetery? I mean, clearly back here, right here, Andy, you said the real Andy B right there says, I think she's in Morrison Cemetery. I'm not scared to say it. So if you think she's in Morrison Cemetery, why are you running around somewhere else? Why don't you and Ryan go up there in Morrison Cemetery? Why ain't you and Ryan up there in Morrison Cemetery instead of everywhere else? You didn't say that you think she's in Light Cemetery. You didn't say that you think she's in Smith Cemetery. You didn't say you think she's in the Hill Cemetery. You didn't say that she's in, any other cemetery. I would say Bernard's, but all you Bernards are buried in the Morrison Cemetery anyway, right? But, bottom line is, why didn't you go there? Why didn't you and him go there? And tell you that Ryan guy, I don't trust him as far as I could throw his ass. He's your buddy system, ain't he? You and him, you guys go way back because he worked with your daddy. He worked with your daddy and he just brought his ass out here to try to upset the apple cart, right? No, PG upsets the apple cart, not Ryan. But he wanted to upset it, right? You probably got him to come out here, said, hey man, you can make a little money and you guys like hiking anyway, and you could throw some monkey wrenches into all of this and deter it, drive it into another area and so forth and so on, and cause a bunch of issues where people ain't going to be listening to the real truth. And here comes Mr. Woo Woo and his old woo woo lady, right? His old woo-wooing woman. Oh, I'm having a vision. I got a vision right now. Come on, let's go, Ryan. We gotta hurry because I just disappeared from the camera and I wouldn't want to pick that damn twisted tea can up once this got some dirt or a bug might have crawled on it. So let's hurry. My vision is down this way. Ooh, here it is. Here it is. I knew there's going to be a twisted tea can here. Brand new, done, just barely got drank down and throwed down, right? Not a grain of freaking dirt or dent in it because she sucked it down, threw it down, ran back to the freaking where he was while he's bullshitting people, looking at all kinds of other bullshit. She's gone, drinking up the twisted tea, throwing it on the ground so she could come back and get him, leading to it like it was some fucking, vision. What the hell? That wasn't no fucking vision. That was her ass being thirsty as hell and sucking down every drop like Hunter did and throwing a can on the ground to go find it again. Who the hell does that? Who does that? That's a bunch of stagery, right? That's a bunch of stagery. That bitch ain't got no she's supposed to be a woo-wooer and see all this shit, but she ain't figured out at all where Summer's at, right? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you something, Andy. Tell Ryan that the devil obviously doesn't like his old lady because he's not helping her at all, right? Satan don't even like y'all. You're supposed to be a fucking woo-wooer and the devil ain't even helping you because he don't want to be around you either. You're probably too evil for him. What the freak? Just saying. Why do you know? Ask Ryan. Ask Ryan's wife. Why don't you ask? Don't pull your shirt up, Andy. Don't pull your shirt up next time and ask her, what color's my thong? If you so woo-wooing, won't you tell me what color my thong is? And I know you wear a thong because I seen it sticking out of the top of your britches the last time you were out there running around and pulled your shirt up over your pants. I was like, damn, is that a thong hanging out? Oh, yeah, I think it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, you shouldn't pull your shirt up around cameras and stuff because it showed your belly Dunlapped, right? You had a Dunlap in the front, flat ass in the back, a thong hanging out. It was crazy. That was cray. I was like, what the hell? Man, I'm going to tell you, you need to turn that around and push it down. And you probably would have a pretty nice body, right? You could push, if you could turn that Dunlap in the front around and push it down, then you would have a backside. You probably look decent. Just saying. Yeah, I'm telling you, his old lady Becca, she probably has to pull that flap up. She has to pull that flap up to get some, right? That's weird. Like, man, if I got to be pulling my man's flap up to get some, I don't want none. Just saying, I don't want none. He have to take that shit somewhere else. That's too much work. That's too much work, you guys. PG don't be doing that shit. Hell no. Just saying. But yeah. And people say, oh, that was Andy. That was Andy out there, you know, in the woods doing woo-woo stuff. It could, you know what? I wouldn't doubt if one picture wasn't Andy. I'm not doubting that one picture wasn't. Just the picture in the light wasn't. I don't believe the picture in the light was. I'm going to show you guys, first of all, I'm going to show you the picture of Andy. Right here is the person. This is the person out in the woods talking to this lady. Right off the porch. Right off the porch. Yeah, and that, I don't care. That looks like Kathy the friend to me. And that's who I still think it is, you guys. And there it is walking off. There it is, somebody walking out here. Now, I don't think that's the same person. I don't think that is the same person. This right here is not the same person right there. No, that's not the same person. That's somebody different. Because right here's the chick's hood. You know, you can see the chick's hood by the porch. This is not the same person walking off out there. That's somebody else. And that possibly could. See how big that figure is? That figure is got, it looks like it's got pants on and a hoodie on. Maybe possibly a hat sticking out. That could be Andy right here. This could be Andy. This ain't Andy. That's not Andy. That's too, you know, that's a flat belly. Well, it's got a flat ass, but it's a flat belly, bony legs, you know, looks more like Kathy the friend, if you ask me. But we're going to compare it. Right here's Andy. Look, he's got a wedgie. He looks like he's got a wedgie, right? Look at his flat. And that looks like the front of a woman, not the back of a man, right? That looks like the front of a woman. I've seen some women wearing them jogging pants, and it looks just like that in the front, right? And that's just abnormal to be looking like that in the back. I don't know, you know. It's just my opinion. And he's got his penny loafers on. Look at his penny loafers. He got some penny loafers on. That's funny as hell, right? And there he is. Look, there he is. And that's definitely not him. That is definitely not him. I know. That is Kathy the friend, I'm pretty sure. But this might be Andy right here. That could be him. He may have been there, because you look, see how big how big. I mean, this looks like Andy right here. And look how he wears the hat under his hoodie, and it looks like the hat's under that hoodie too. That possibly could have been Andy out there running around, because there was several people out there running around, right? Lifting kids up in the air, doing some really weird stuff. So, you know, I can't say it is him, but it could be. It could be. Here's Summer with the first cell barrel. I wanted to show this to you guys. This was 18 days before she went missing. They had her out there dancing around that for sale barrel. That is Dudley's yellow vehicle back there, parked. And this is Candace's vehicle, but right there in the back window, watch this. There is a face in there. Look, there is some kind of face in that back window. Look at that. And it's not like a reflection from the outside. That is a mother freaking something's inside that vehicle. And it was looking straight at Summer. Look, it's staring straight at Summer. You can see it staring at her. And right there it is. Right there it is. There is something creepy as hell up in there, right? Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know if it's Marlena or possibly, I don't think it's Laura. It's got too long a hair for Laura. I don't know who the heck I don't know what it is. I don't know what the hell that is. I just know it's scary looking and it's inside that vehicle and it was staring out at Summer. That is freaky as crap right there, you guys. But here we go. This is Candace. There's no way this is Candace. Look, man, you could roll a freaking bowling ball between her legs, right? I mean, look, no way. No way. She doesn't stand. And she's too big too. She's too big to be this person. There's no way. No way that is Candace. No, the shoulders are higher up. No way in hell. That ain't Candace. Candace's hair ain't even dark enough to be her. But right here, there you go, you guys. Right there, look. Hair. Mask. Look, stands the same exact way. Skinny legs. I'm telling you, I think that's Kathy Dufresne. Yeah, I think it is. Matter of fact, if that ain't Kathy Dufresne, she got a damn twin sister running around. Absolutely. She's got a twin sister running that ass around somewhere. Because she stands exactly the same. Right there, look. Look at that. I'm telling you, it looks just mother freaking like her. Just saying, you guys. Just saying. I don't think her ankles were too big. I don't think her ankles. I think that she has skinny legs, just like that woman has skinny legs. She stands exactly like that person. She looks exactly like that person. I'm going to tell you, a damn blind man could see that Kathy Dufresne looks exactly like that person in that picture. Yeah, absolutely. But here's the picture of the people. You can see these people in black robes. You can see them. The one right there by the swimming pool, right here, that looks like Andy. It looks like he's got a beard. It looks like the person right there in the front has a beard. It looks like they got some kind of black hoodie or something on and a beard on their face. The one right by the pool there. And then you can see that there's other ones as well, supposedly holding this child up. I don't know. I mean, if this really was taken by a video camera, I'm going to tell you what, these people are out there doing some freaky stuff. They were out there doing some woo-woo shit in the woods. But it does look like Summer. It does look like Summer. That's supposedly supposed to be, at the top of all of this. I don't know. Just saying. And this is the woman You know, she's talking about, in my opinion, give these folks lie detectors test ASAP, talking about her family getting stocked up because of, all of this stuff she's bringing out. Um, I don't know. I have no freaking clue, you know, but she got some really creepy, weird pictures um, that she be showing. She's got some really creepy stuff. Yeah, look at that. And there's her finger. There's her finger when she's showing the video. Look, she's trying to show you. She just zoomed in on it close up, trying to show you what they were doing. And that could be Andy out there. That could be Andy out there sitting, because that person looks like they're in black pants and a black hoodie. I don't think that's the same. I don't think that was the Kathy the friend looking person. That looks like someone else out there. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it is disgusting, right? It is disgusting. But people that do weird stuff, they are disgusting. You know, when people who get into that satanic stuff, they get into, all that woo woo stuff. Um, they're really weird. They put a one in the chat if you've ever been around people that's into an occult. If you have ever been around people that's in an occult, put a one. Because if you ever around people that's in that occult stuff, that actually is one of them, and they see some really weird stuff. They're scared. They're afraid. I guess if they don't do the things that they're supposed to do, once they get initiated, they have they have things they have to carry out, things they have to do. And like if they don't do these things, or they try to, get out, walk away from it or get out, they're, they think that this occult's going to kill them. It's going to find them and it's going to kill them. And they get real paranoid. They get real weird. Um, they start seeing shit and doing weird things and talking out of their head about shit that, like some crazy stuff, right? Some real crazy stuff. And, yeah, it's like, wow, I would think before you get into it, I think before you get into stuff like that, you might want to research it. You might want to, you know, um, you might want to rethink that shit, right? You might want to rethink it, especially research it, so you'll know what's going to, happen once you do. I mean, you don't go into stuff like that blindsided. You don't just go in there and initiate yourself up with a bunch of, weirdos and, okay, sure, we can do this. Why not? Bullshit. I know. Not today. That's what you should be saying is not today. I ain't getting into that shit. I'm staying as far away from that stuff as I can possibly get, like the Bible tells you to. But they get afraid. They get scared, you guys. And, and then they become all weird and they do evil stuff and you can't trust them. Don't trust them. Do not turn your back on them. Because they mother freaking cray, straight up. They're like really, really super freaking weird. They be peeking out windows all day long and shit. Always paranoid, looking around. Yeah. And when they smile, they show you all their teeth like they're ready to come at you. It's weird as shit. They're just, wow. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, yeah, most of the time, people who get into that stuff are either alcoholics or substance abusers. Absolutely. They get into that shit. They think that, they think that Satan's going to give them some kind of power. And the only thing Satan's going to give them is eternity in hell. Because that's where he's going to go and that's where they're all going to go. And I promise you, there's no big barrel down there, or to dance around. There's no big barrel to light a fire in, and I mean, you're not going to be standing down there, um, putting down a 12 pack and smoking up some goody good. That ain't happening. You're not even going to get a cigarette down in hell. You're not even getting a cigarette in hell. Even though you got plenty of fire to light it off of, you ain't even going to get that. You're not getting a drink of water, let alone, a cold one. You can forget about it. You can forget about it. Right? You could just forget about that shit. But you know what? You get a nice cold one while you're on Earth. Right? Man. There was a cold one. I bet that made our haters jelly, right? They're all up in the bushes saying, damn it, PG just opened a cold one and my ass is thirsty. I'm thirsty from running around in these bushes trying to watch all night, right? All I got to say is here's to them and here's to me. If we ever disagree, I think they know the rest. Think they know the rest, you guys. I don't have to tell them. I don't think it was a sacrifice, Karen. I don't think it was a sacrifice at all. Well, I guess it was in a way. Because, they had to do what they did at the swimming hole in order to keep from going to prison, right? And I guess you could kind of call that a sacrifice. Have you ever had this, have you ever had to sacrifice for your children or for your family? I mean, there's many different kinds of sacrifices. Like sometimes you have to sacrifice not having lunch so someone else can, right? Sometimes you have to sacrifice not getting a candy bar because you got to buy something else. You know, people sacrifice all the time in different ways. So that's called sacrifice, right? And if you had to destroy someone to keep yourself from going to prison, well, you would have to sacrifice them to save yourself, right? So it would be a sacrifice. Just saying. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree. If you agree with PG that, if you had to, off somebody to save yourself from going to prison, that would be a sacrifice. They had to do away with Summer in order to keep themselves from going to prison. Something went wrong. What you don't understand is when the cults go out into the woods, they all meet up and stuff, they be doing some dirty stuff. They be doing some dirty stuff, man. Like some things. And and why do they care? Why do they care if it's with kids or old people or one another? Why do they care? If it's with animals, they don't care. They don't care what they're doing. They're going to Hades anyway. What you don't understand is these people worship the devil. They plan on going to hell. They plan on being in hell for eternity with Satan. They think Satan's their buddy. I mean, these people are brainwashed into some weird stuff. And, and they think that Satan's this all powerful person or something that, that's going to, be their buddy forever or whatever. The problem is people who are, people who want to follow Satan are scared of him. They're scared of him, and they think if they can please and appease him, then, he's going to be their buddy. He ain't going to be your buddy. When you get in, you think you're doing evil on earth for Satan. Let me tell you something. When you get into Hades, Satan's going to laugh in your face. Him and his demons, they're going to laugh in your face. And they're going to, and you ain't seen evil yet. You ain't seen no evil until you get down there and the devil and his demons have at you. And they're going to have at you for eternity. You better remember that. And they're going to do all the dirty things to you that you was doing to other people on earth, because they know everything you did. And you're going to live it over and over and over, but it ain't going to be these other people. It's going to be you. It's going to be you getting the same thing. And the problem is, you're not going to be able, you ain't going to be able to die. The people that you did that stuff to, they suffered. They might have passed away, but they're going to heaven, and they're going to be living with God forever. The evil that you did to good people, they're going to have eternal life in heaven. They're going to get past it, and they're going to stick with their God, and they're going to have eternal life with God Almighty. They're going to be living, they're going to be looking down, and they're going to see your ass in hell. That's what they're going to do. And you're going to get it. You're going to get everything and then some. And is those people looking down going to have pleasure seeing you get everything that really you deserve because what you've done on earth? No, they're not. They're not going to get pleasure out of it, because Christian people don't get pleasure out of evilness. Christian people don't get pleasure out of seeing their enemies in hell. Actually, they would rather their enemies not be in hell. And if they could give those people a drop of water, they would. But they can't. And they feel sad for those people that ended up in hell. They wish they would have ended up in heaven too. But they had to be evil. So I'm going to tell you, that's the difference. That's the difference between righteous people and evil people. Righteous people don't do no bad, and they don't wish no bad on nobody. They just stick with God. And they just do righteousness. And they don't understand why evil people do their evilness. They don't understand why they fall victims to these evil people. I mean, I bet little Summer had no idea. She's an innocent 5-year-old little girl. She probably has no idea why she fell victim to these evil people. It's because they were evil. They chose. It was their choice to do what they did to an innocent 5-year-old child. It was their choice to put her through all the hell and misery and pain that they could possibly put her through and not care while they was doing it. And she suffered. And she suffered. She suffered. But in the end, she's in heaven. And she'll live forever. And when they're in Hades, she will not get no pleasure out of it. She's going to, she'll wish her mommy and daddy or, these evil people she knew, that she cared about, that she trusted at one point. She's going to wish, she's going to wish that they was in heaven with her. She's not going to she might even put some tears out for them. She might even have some tears that they ended up, in a place that she didn't want them to. Even though they'd done so much bad, she don't want them to end up there, because that's how good people are. That's how good people are. They don't lose their love. Righteous people don't lose their love for people. Evil people don't lose their love for people. Evil people just don't ever have no love. That's the problem. They don't know how to love. They're too busy being evil and conniving and dirty and low life. They're bottom feeders. They care too much about what they gain on this earth instead of what they gain in heaven. It's a big mistake. Big mistake, right? That's the best that I can explain these people. But in my opinion, Summer's in heaven. That's my opinion. I don't think she's with us anymore. I truly believe she's on those milk jugs unalive. I believe she is in heaven. And I believe that's where she will, remain. And I truly believe that the evil people that did this to her may end up in Hades. And I truly believe that that will make Summer sad. It'll make me sad. It'll make me sad because I wish these people would have been better too. I wish they would have been different. I wish this little girl would have had a beautiful, good life. I wish these people could have been kind, caring, and loving. I wish they could have, watched over and made sure that she was always safe and done their best by her and her brothers and not ever let anyone hurt any of them. But that was their choice. That was their choice not to do, right? That was their choice to do evil instead of good. And, they end up in the wrong place. Well, it's sad. It's sad to see anyone end up in hell. I wouldn't want to see no one in hell, not even my worst enemies. I wouldn't want to see them in hell. But then again, I'm a God-fearing Christian, real Christian person. Even though I couldn't. I'd want to give them a drink of water too. It'd be hard. It'd be hard, to see, especially people you love. Especially people you loved and you trusted. It's really hard. Once upon a time you loved and you trusted them. And it'd be real hard seeing them in hell. I don't know why people hate. I don't know why they destroy. I don't know why they do the things they do. And I sure can't figure out why they do it to a 5-year-old innocent little girl. I don't understand. I don't understand that kind of sickness. But I'm going to tell you something. Something really bad's going on up there in Ben Hill Road. A lot of people seem to be involved in and around all of this. It sure sounds like Don and Candace Wells was up there trafficking children. Not only exploiting children themselves, but allowing other people to exploit them as well. Use and abuse them for financial gain. And it sounds like a lot of people had a hand in it. Sounds like a whole lot of people had a hand in it. And nobody suffered but these children. Nobody suffered but the children. Until this one totally came up missing. But Don Wells was over in Arkansas doing the same thing, right? He was running an RSO house in Arkansas. So what would he was up in Utah. He was up in Utah trying to sell his son. He was trying to sell his son out in Utah. According to Mary, he's up there trying to do this stuff. So, this is, the story of Don Wells' life. Is to, be touching, feeling like he's got some kind of right to violate and touch children. To just take what he wants. And, it's not right. It's not right. Now I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to give a shout out. I'm going to give a shout out to Don B tonight. Don B had a video a couple days ago. He put out a video. And in that video, he shows a picture. He has JodiSue Brown talking about, you go over there and you ask Andy. You go ask Andy what he was giving them children, what he was selling the children, and what he was selling to Candace to sedate Summer and other little girls to be touched. You go and you ask him what it was that he was selling besides. And she said, you know, the goody good stuff. Now, I won't say, but she called it out. Let me tell you something. At the end of that, he shows Summer in church. He's got a video. It shows Summer in church. I won't show it because it's just too graphic for me. It's too graphic for me, and I cannot stand to look at it. I've seen it. I did see it today. I cannot stand to look at it. But you need to see it. You need to go and you need to see it. Because clearly this baby was in pain. She was hurting in a place. You could tell on her face that she was hurting. And she was hurting bad enough that she put her hands where she was hurting. And the other children were staring at her and looking at her. But she could not help but tried to ease some of the pain. Saddest damn thing I've ever seen. And that video was right before they cut her bald-headed. Right before they cut her hair completely off. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible to see, horrible to watch. No child should ever be put through that. None. I'm going to tell you something. These evil people do not care about anyone else. Evil people don't love. They don't love. They use and they abuse. They have no love in them. They don't care about no one but themselves and their self-gratification. It's all about them. And they use and abuse other people for that gratification. And a lot of times it's little children. It's children. And I'm going to tell you, I know, being a victim myself, that it destroys your whole entire life. No matter how much you fight to not let that evil person win, they still win. They still win. Even though you understand it had nothing to do with you. They still made you feel worthless. They made you feel ashamed. They made you feel sick inside. They made you worry all the time that they was going to touch you again. And they do. And you always on edge. You're always, you're a 5, 6, 7-year-old child. And you're always on edge because you don't know when they're going to come at you. You don't feel safe. You do not feel safe under your own roof. And it destroys everything in your life. You cannot succeed in school the way you should. You cannot succeed in socializing the way you should. You cannot succeed in nothing for many, many years. You can't succeed in anything because you have been done like this. You have been withdrawn into yourself because of the sickness someone else did to you. And no matter how hard you try to put it behind you or not ever think about it again, it always creeps back. And it creeps back at the damnedest times. And it does alter your whole fucking life. It alters your whole life. It makes you not trust anyone around your children. It makes you not trust anyone around yourself. You're always on guard. And that doesn't ever go away. Ever. It doesn't go away with yourself. It doesn't go away with watching over your children. It probably won't go away with your grandkids or great grandkids. You're always going to be overprotective and leery of people around them because of what happened to you. And it's not fair. You should not have to live a life like that. It's like women who go out partying. Women that, go out to nightclubs and stuff. And if you've ever had someone put something in your, in your drink, right? If you've ever been out and you've had someone put something in your drink, well, you know that from that point on, they altered your life as well. Because everywhere you go after that, you have to hold on to your drink. If you leave it, you can't drink it. They alter your life. You trust no one around your drinks or your food. You're always on guard. You're always scared. You're always watching. And they alter your life so you can't live a normal life anymore. And that's what evil fucking people do. And they get pleasure. They get pleasure out of destroying you like that. And I don't know why. I don't know why, other than they're sick in the fucking head. They got a demon, a nasty demon that's bigger than they are. And they don't even know it. And that demon will flee them on their deathbed while their ass ends up in Haiti for feeding it all those years. And that's pretty much how it goes. So if people think it's worth being evil, go ahead, baby, have at it. But I'm going to be righteous. I'm going to follow my God. I'm going to read my Bible. Yes, I will be a pew jumper. I will be a holy roller. Baby, there ain't no shame in my game. Because I love God Almighty, His Son, Jesus Christ. I love the Holy Spirit and the angels that watch over me. And I'm going to keep on loving them. And stay away from the rest of that garbage. I don't need it. Don't want it. Don't want to even think about it. It'd be a cold day in hell before anyone could get me to be evil. Because I'm going to tell you something. My soul is the most important thing in this life. Getting my soul into heaven is number one. I'm going to tell you, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of God not letting me in the pearly gate. That's what I'm afraid of. Nothing else. I'm educated enough to know what this life is about. And this life is about proving that you're good enough to live forever in the next life. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to waste this 5 minutes being evil and getting put in hell. Because that's what this life is. This life is 5 minutes, baby. And it's over. You don't believe me? Well, think back at how fast your childhood went. Your teenhood went. Your young adulthood went. And you're probably right now middle-aged or ready to go out of the world. There's only 5. 5 steps, baby. Childhood, teenhood, middle-aged, young adulthood, middle-aged, and old age. You're out of here. That's it. 5 puffs of smoke. 5 puffs of smoke. And they go quick. They go quick. You think I'm going to waste that up being evil? Heck no. Heck no. I'm going to tell you, I wasted it up messing up. I wasted it up messing up in that teenhood and young adulthood. But I'm going to tell you what. I ain't messing up no more. I ain't messing up no more. You want to find PG, you'll find me somewhere working for the Lord. That's where you'll find me. I'll be somewhere working, all right, but I'll be working for the Lord. Amen. And that's where I hope to find everybody else, but it's their choice. It's their choice. I just hope people don't make the wrong ones. Just like Summer. She was hoping they wouldn't make the wrong choices too, but they did every time. They did every time. Until she's completely gone. They made the wrong choices. It wasn't her choice. She wanted them to do righteous. That little girl just wanted to love and be loved. She wanted to be protected. She just wanted to be a kid. And she should have been allowed to be all of that. But I'm going to tell you. As you see here, this world was not my home. And I'm going to tell you, that was true. That was true. This world was not Summer's home. You got to feel at home to be at home. You got to feel at home to be at home. And yeah, it's worth saying twice. Because a lot of people don't feel at home. A lot of children don't feel at home. Children don't feel at home when they're being abused and used and hurt and destroyed. Wives don't feel at home. A lot of wives don't feel at home when they're being used and abused. I'm going to tell you, this world isn't a lot of people's home. because they ain't no place they've ever felt at home. Summer did not ever feel at home with Don and Candace Wells. That was not her home. And there's a lot of people out there like that. A lot of people going through that right now. There's probably people right now in this chat that don't feel at home. Well, this world ain't your home anyway. You're just passing through. You are just passing through. That's it. And while you're passing through, I hope you make all the right choices. Because those choices are going to determine whether you make it to heaven or you end up in Hades, which is hell. Just saying. But I'm going to tell you, I think we have figured out the beginning. I think we have figured out the ending of Summer's case, to be honest with you. And I think we have figured out, where Summer possibly is. And that'll be up to law enforcement whether they want to exhume and find Summer or they don't. And if they don't exhume that grave by the 4th year, June 15th, 2025, they don't exhume it, or they're not going to be exhuming it, I'm going to let Summer rest in peace. She deserves to rest in peace. Because I truly believe at that point she won't ever be found. If they don't exhume that particular grave, I don't think Summer will ever be found. Don can keep smiling his shitty grin. And these people can keep telling their big fucking lies, as they always have, and playing their games. But I ain't going to be around to listen to it no more. I don't want to hear it. I'm going to let this baby rest. And I'm going to move on, and live a normal life again. And enjoy it. That's what I'm going to do. I refuse to give Don, Candace's, and Grandis's, and JodiSue's, and all of these evil fucking people any more attention. I will not give them none. Period. No one should give them attention no more. I'm going to tell you, we all need, if the law enforcement ain't going to do what needs to be done, we need to let Summer rest in peace. All of us need to let this little girl rest in peace. Just saying. And we need to turn our backs and walk away so that Don and Candace and Grandis and JodiSue's and Andy's and all of them can stew. They can stew in the evilness that I truly believe they done. Don't give them no attention to take their mind off of what they did anymore. Let them live with it. Let this little girl rest and let them live with what they done for once. Let them be alone with it instead of having a place out here to come to and get attention so they don't have to think about it. Right? And that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. Exactly. Exactly. That's right, Karen. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. This, TBI, they're as bad as Hawkins County, if you ask me. That guy some guy came out here, blowed some smoke up everybody's backside, if you ask me. That's my opinion. And disappeared, and he was just a face. He was just a face. When you called in to talk to him, he wasn't even handling the case. He wasn't even handling the case. It was all bullshit. It was all bullshit. And right now, they got something. Right now, they could check into it. Right now, they could possibly find her. And if they turn their backs on this and they don't proceed to follow this tip and find out if the baby's there or not, and I'm done. I'm done with Summer's case. I'm done with it. Because, what are we out here, why are we out here doing all of this for if law enforcement isn't going to listen and follow the leads? What are we out here doing all this for? Why are we gathering everything we can to help them if they're not going to help themselves? And why? Why are they not? And you know what will be the big kicker? You know what will be the big kicker in all of this? Is if her case, which if we all drop it and let Summer rest in peace, well, her case will end up going cold. And I believe cold case will grab a hold of it. And you know what the big kicker might be? Is they'll have that. They'll have it exhumed and find her. Boy, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? But we'll have to wait a while. We'll have to wait a while because for some reason they're holding on to her case with everything they got and not wanting to let go of it as long as it's getting attention out here. We've got to, we got to stop the attention. So that, so that it can all go cold and somebody else can pick it up and possibly solve it. Yeah, we want them to give her peace. Raven Rose. Absolutely, we want them. But none of these people, all these people are too evil. They're too evil to help a 5-year-old child be found, brought home, and justice served. They're too evil. And they all got something to lose. They've all got some. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe they've all got something to lose. Because I do. That's my opinion. I believe they all got something to lose. They're all tied up in it. Somehow they're tied up in it. Man, this is probably one of the most you know, I don't know why. I don't know why, but I don't think I could have got into a more eviler case than this. I really don't think I could have ever got into a more eviler case than this. Just saying. This is hey, Nurse Cindy. I appreciate that, girl. God bless. I got a super chat. All right. I appreciate that, girl. God bless. Absolutely. And I don't think so. I don't think so. Cold case foundation, they can get stuff done that other people can't. They can get some real shit done. Trust me. And even if they had to have the family probably would work with cold case. They just don't want to work with law enforcement because law enforcement ran over one of their loved ones. So, that's a problem right there too. You got this feud going on. You got this feud going on with, the Morrison family and law enforcement. So that's not good. And that's what I agree with you, Sad Eyes. I agree with you. I do. You know, that's, man, they're serving the wrong person, right? They're serving the wrong person. They're serving a liar. They're serving a liar. And I'm going to tell you, um, right now, when it comes to evil, if they'll do it with you, they'll do it to you. That's the one thing, people better remember. They better remember, you go out there with somebody and do some evil shit. Trust me, if they'll go with you and do it, they'll do it to you. I mean, you, at some point, you're going to fall victim as well. Just like if you end up in Hades, you're going to fall victim to the person you thought you were going to be, dancing around a barrel and partying with. Well, I'm going to tell you, the devil ain't going to party with you. The devil and his demons, they don't have nothing to do with you except consume you and end up taking your whole person to Hades forever. That's what they want to do. They got an unclean spirit inside of you. There's an unclean spirit inside of you, and it's going to flee when it's time for you to go to Hades. It's going to flee because there's going to be there's going to be new people coming into the world that they can house. They're going to be housing something else while you're sitting in Hades. And then you're going to be hollering, you're going to be hollering, Lord, Lord, no. Too late. Too late. You've made your choices. You made your choices. You figured out, it ain't no party in Hades. Well, too late. Yeah. Same here, hon. Same here. I don't think I'll ever follow, I don't think I'll ever follow, um, right now, I don't think I will either. I don't know. I don't know. If another child like Quentin Simon, oh, I'd have been right back out here. I'd have been right back out here for him. Absolutely. That baby was just adorable, and no child should ever endure such evilness. No child should ever be done like that. These children don't deserve it. They don't deserve that kind of punishment put upon them. No child deserves that kind of punishment put upon them. No child, ever, deserves that. there was a lot of support went past me on trouble. I appreciate it, hon. God bless you, PG and Summer's Army. Hey, girl, God bless you. And I appreciate your support for Summer's channel. Absolutely. And Sad Eyes, super sticker. All right, girl. I appreciate that. God bless. And I got another one. Good life, PG. Thank you. I wish I could pronounce her name. Iva. I think that's what it is. I'm not sure. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it right. But I sure appreciate the support for Summer's channel, and I appreciate you being here supporting Summer all the time. I see you all the time here, and I appreciate that. Marianne, I appreciate another super sticker. All right. I appreciate that. Absolutely. And that is a gift that we'll keep giving. Suzanne gifted one for Garden of America membership. She blessed someone tonight with the membership. Hey, we appreciate it. God bless. God bless. That is so sweet. And my Australia super sticker. All right. I appreciate it, girl. God bless. I appreciate that. You guys do not know how much I appreciate all of your guys' support for this channel. And our bucket list has holes. Thank you, PG. For fighting so hard for Summer. Hey, girl, I appreciate all of you fighting. I couldn't do it without you. I couldn't do it without you. All glory to God for putting this channel together. And I thank him. I really do. I thank him for, putting Summer's channel together and so many beautiful people in here to support this little girl. And I'll tell you, I couldn't have done it without you, and I couldn't have done it without God for sure. Amen. Amen. So, I can't take no credit. I can't take no credit. I'm just a vessel that God put up here to run this channel for this little girl and to, meet up with all you beautiful people and it's been a pleasure to be a part of this. It has been a real pleasure to be a part of all of this. So, I appreciate each and every last one of you, and God bless you. God bless you. There's got to be gifts in heaven for you because you guys have, diligently backed this little girl 150% all the way. And I know that Summer would appreciate it. I know she would. And I'm going to tell you thank you from Summer because I know she'd want to thank you and let you know, I'm sure she wouldn't have ever felt this much love before. So God bless each and every last one of you for doing all that you do as well. And I appreciate your help keeping her channel running. I really do. Our bucket list has holes. I appreciate it. PG, thank you for fighting so hard for Summer. Hey, girl, you guys, like I said, can't do it without you. Oh, we got a new member. Blue Bella became a YouTube member. All right, girl. I appreciate that. And there's Cindy. She was right there tonight, helping Summer's channel out and everything, girl. And I so appreciate it. And Carrie, all right, Carrie, love you, PG. We are all going to miss you so much, beautiful lady. But thank you for everything you have done for Summer. Hey, girl. I appreciate each and every last one of you. As I said, I really do. And God bless. God bless. I'm not going nowhere till June 15th, 2021. And like I said, I'm going out. I'm going out. Trust and believe. I'm going out of here with fireworks. There is going to be fireworks when I go out of here. I've got a lot of things that I have to say to a lot of people. And by God, I'm going to be saying them. I'm going to be saying them. Trust and believe me. I will be saying them. Vic, I appreciate that. Another super sticker. All right, girl. I so appreciate it. God bless. But yeah, I'm going to definitely go out with a bang. That's for sure. That's for sure. Um, we put up with a lot. We put up the lot, and I've been holding my peace. I've been holding my peace as hard as it is to do. I've been a holding it, but I'm going to tell you, at the end of all of this, you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. Trust and believe me, you do not want to miss it. Just saying, you do not want to miss it. We've got a whole lot to say to the haters, right? We've got a whole lot to say to them, and I'll hold my peace till then. Oh my goodness, Dick, I appreciate that. Another super sticker. God bless. I really appreciate it. Absolutely. Amen. Amen. Bucket. Our bucket list has holes. She said, thank you for your continued support for Summer's channel. Absolutely. Absolutely. That, right, Carrie? It's going to be a blaze, all right. All right. I tell you, we're going to be setting some fireworks off over here. Trust and believe that. Absolutely. But you know, if law enforcement ain't going to do what needs to be done for this little girl to find her, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. You know, all we're doing at that point is just allowing these evil people to get attention, to keep their attention off of what they've done so evil. You know, they use us to keep from having to think about, you know, what really occurred on June 15, 2021. They're playing games and shit with us and lying and you know, and it keeps their mind off of, you know, the real stuff. And we need to let them think about it. We need to, you know, we need to let Summer rest, and we need to let them rest too. We need to let them stew in their own damn evil juices. You know, have you ever went home? Have you ever went home after a party? Nothing went right. Like you go to a party, you know, you think you're going to have this exciting party and it's going to be fun and everything. And you go and a bunch of crap went down and you go home and you kind of have to stew in all the stuff that happened. Maybe you made an ass out of yourself, right? Maybe you went to the party and you ended up making an ass out of yourself. Or maybe, you know, you wasn't dressed as nice as you should have dressed and you felt awkward the whole night, and the party's over, you have to go home and nobody's there, and you kind of have to stew in all the shit that happened. Put a 1 in the chat if you know what I'm talking about, because it's not a good feeling when you have to go home after that party and sit there in the dark by yourself and think about, you know, all the dumb shit that happened. It's not fun at all. Well, see, these people ain't had time. See, it's been one big party for almost 4 years, and they don't know what it's like to go home in the dark and have to stew in it. But we're going to let them know, right? We're going to let them know. Put a 2 in the chat if you're going to let them know what it's like. Because when we leave here, we're going to move on. Well, probably all of you will move on to another missing child's case. And you'll leave Summer to rest and them to stew. right? And I know I'm leaving them to stew. I know I'm going to leave them to stew, baby, because I'm going back to watching good movies and hanging with my family and going out and doing, I'm going back to living a normal life. I'm going back to living a beautiful normal life like I was living before. No cussing, no screaming, no being angry, no having anybody come at me sideways anymore. I'm going back to a normal life. I'm going back to a life where, I like everybody in my life. Everybody likes me. And, everything's hunky dory. That's the life I'm going back to. I'm going back where I'm going back to where I got time to pay attention, to a lot of details that I wasn't paying attention to since I've been doing this, like I don't know when's the last time I enjoyed a movie, just being able to kick back and watch a movie. I can't do it. I start to watch a movie with my kids, and in the middle of it, I find myself at the computer researching, looking into this, looking into that for Summer or another missing kid or something. I'm always, this right here has consumed a lot of my life, because you can't keep your mind off of it. When I sleep at night, these cases just run through my head. They run through my head and run through my head. I mean, Sebastian's case runs through my head, that it's being so messed up out here that, people need to work together for the good of this child's case. I see so many different things that, people's missing in Sebastian's case that needed to be called out, but it hasn't been called out. Michael Vaughn's case the same way. And, and it's just that this can consume you 24/7, it can consume you. And, I find myself, because I have a daytime job, but I find myself looking into Facebook, more than I should during my work hours and so forth, and it's just like, it really has consumed me, It's a lot. It's a lot when you do this. And it can, it can start to really mess with you. People think being a creator is easy. It's not. Doing this isn't easy. If you do it right, it's not easy at all. It really, it basically overtakes your life. And because you care so much, and you want these kids found, and you work so hard to try to figure out what happened, and and you're trying to piece all of this stuff together, and then you find that law enforcement, they're just not listening. They're not listening, and it's a deterrent. It deters you. Hey, Carrie, I appreciate it, girl. Super sticker. All right. I appreciate that. Absolutely. God bless. Our bucket list has holes. I appreciate that, hon. I appreciate it. You guys are like the best mods. You are the best mods. I got some of the best mods ever. I remember Dave with Echo Search asked someone did they know she was found. It wasn't made public. I'm going to tell you, that echo search, I was watching some of that stuff, and I'm going to tell you, they didn't seem so legit to me. They did not seem legit to me at all. I think that echo search, don't get me wrong, you know, I think they do more than law enforcement. I think they work harder than law enforcement did on trying to solve things. But I also think that they throw in a lot of things to, you know, amp things. It's like a lot of untrue stuff to amp it up, you know, for people to keep being invested. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I mean, I seen some real inconsistencies with, you know, the stuff that they were saying and doing. Um, you know, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I mean, they were making shit up in some, you know, that's my opinion. They were making shit up in some areas, and you can't do that in a missing child's case. There's no room. There's no room to be making shit up for entertainment purposes. If you're dealing with a missing child's case, you got to stick with, you know, facts. You got to stick with the, you know, the truth. You got to stick with, you know, you got to separate. You got to separate, you know, the bullshit from reality in order to, you know, solve the case. You got to know what to grab onto and what not to grab onto to put the puzzle together to figure out what happened. And you got to listen to these people real close. You can't just hear them. You got to listen to them. You got to stop and really listen to the detail, you know, and it's not easy to figure out. But if you pray hard enough, God will let you. You know, and that's another thing that, you know, when you're doing what's right out here, you spend a lot of time talking to God, right? Which I do anyway. I you know, I always said if I don't get into heaven, it's because God don't want to hear my voice no more. You know, that's the only reason I could think I'm probably not going to get in there other than YouTube, you know. And that's another reason, you know, why I'm, you know, glad to let Summer rest in peace if law enforcement isn't going to do their job and follow the leads, because these are legible leads. And if they're not going to follow it, then we might as well just let her rest, because I truly believe she's in that grave. I believe she is in that grave. You know, that's my opinion. I believe she's there. And if they're not going to do what it takes to find out and get her out, there's nothing we can do. It's like, what can we do? You know, I don't know where to go from there. I don't know where to go from there other than let her rest. Let her brothers go there, put flowers there, because I'm pretty sure that's obviously where Summer is. That's my opinion. I think if they want to put flowers on her, go there to do it. If you want to send Summer flowers, I think that's the exact place to send them. That's, you know, that's my opinion. And I'll always think that. I'll always think that. And, you know, don't think that I haven't been praying that God washes that hill, that God washes that big hill up there off into the middle of Beach Creek Road so Summer can be found. Because I have prayed that that hill be washed off into the road just so this baby can be found. Because I know God's powerful and he can do anything. And, you know, just like you guys, PG wants her found more than anything in this world. I want that baby found. But if law enforcement isn't going to work with us, the only thing we can do is pray and hope that God does something somehow to let it happen. And anything short of washing the heel off, I don't know what else could be done, right? Unless, some people got together and, but I wouldn't even want to think about that. Hey, Blue Bella, I appreciate it. I love Summer's Army. Hey, girl, and we love you too. You know it. Yeah. So, absolutely. Girl, PG has got to get back to a normal life at some point. I've got to get back to a normal life at some point. I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss this. I'm really going to miss it. But, the problem is I work too hard. I really want the answers to be found for these kids. And when you really are doing it, for all the righteous reasons, it's hard. This is a hard thing to do. And, I know that all these people, even the evil people's involved in all of this, they can hate me all they want to. Don Wells and Candace Wells, and they can hate me all they want to. But they have to respect me. Because they know I have bust my ass to find out where this little girl's at, to find all the answers for her. They have to, no matter how evil they are, they have to respect that. They know I was doing what no one else did. And that was really working to find all the answers. So at the end of the day, they can dislike me all they want to, but by God, they will respect us. They will do that. That's right. That's right, Stephanie. That's right. I'm going to tell you something's wrong with this case. And I'm going to tell you guys another thing about this case. This case is very, very evil surrounds this case. Evil surrounds it. A lot of bad things happens to people. I have sat back and I have watched some really weird stuff go on with Summer's case. Like some really weird stuff. With a lot of different people. Some really weird stuff. And, I ain't got time to get into it tonight because I've already kept you so long already tonight. But, I will address it. I mean, if you guys want to hear all the weird stuff that's went on in this case, put a 1 in the chat, because I'll definitely put a slideshow together for you and show you how weird that this case has been. I mean, this has been some really strange, weird, sinister stuff over the past 4 years. And I'm gonna tell you, I ain't ever seen nothing like it, you guys. I ain't ever seen nothing like this at all. I could tell you some things. And I'm gonna tell you what. Um, there'll be a whole lot of you don't believe it, and a whole lot of you will, because you'll be like, oh damn, I went through some of that, during this case as well. But I'm going to tell you, there's some crazy stuff surrounding this case right here. A lot of weird shit. I love you too, PG. You may want to see this. I may want to see this. What did I want to see? It is weird. Yeah, we are family, right? Australia, we are a family, hun. We're definitely a family. And I'll tell you what, God put this channel together, and and He put this family together. God put us together. And I think, God put us together to really work together to find out what happened to Summer. But I also think He put us all together because so many people need it. So many people needed people to talk to. So many people needed prayer. So many people needed to have family, to pray for them and to be there for them. And I mean, we have been a really, really super good, we've been like a real family. I mean, like, I think we're better than a real family, to be honest with you. I think we're better than a real family. I think that, this is the kind of family here that, that you're going to find in heaven. You're going to find those people who's praying for one another, who truly care about one another, behind the scenes, not just here in the chat, but behind the scenes, behind the scenes. This, believe it or not, this chat right here, they correspond with one another behind the scenes. People reaching out, making sure they're okay, talking to them. I talked to quite a few people. Quite a few people talk to me, a lot of people, they'll hit me up. You okay, PG? If I don't come in or something, they'll check on me. A lot of times I go checking on people too. I'll go hit them up. Hey, I ain't seen you. How's it going? What's going on? Are you okay? So we are a really good family. And I'll tell you another thing. The one thing I can say about this channel and this chat, I could tell people right now that, what, we forgive and we forget. I mean, people come at us sideways and we forgive it and we forget about it. And we're good to them again. We're very good to them again. And I tell you, I know they didn't let it go. We let it go, but they don't. And I can tell that. And, that's their problem, not ours. That's their problem, not ours. I will not apologize, because they came at us sideways first. But they don't want to let it go, even though they were in the wrong and they caused all that went down to go down. They don't let it go. They remember, they hang on to it. We don't hang on to it because we don't care, right? We do what God tells us to do. We forgive and we just forget and we just go on with it. But, I'm going to tell you, they're not as good as us. They're not as good as us. We got a really good family here. And I thank God for that. I really do. And, It is going to be hard. It's going to be very hard leaving. It's going to be very, very hard because I'm going to miss each and every last one of you. I'm going to super miss you. And I know I'm going to, want to open the live, and I'm going to want to talk, and I'm going to want to, be here with you guys. And it's going to be so hard for me. It's going to be hard to get used to being normal again. A normal life like it was before. Because, I have so many people out here that I love, that I've gotten close to, that I care about. And it's not going to be easy to leave. I wish I could do something else, but I don't know what else I could do, other than Summer's case. I don't know what else I could do, to keep us together. I have no idea. So, I thought about mysteries and recipes, and, maybe just a break from all the tragedy, because, the missing children cases. But I don't know if that would be the same. I don't know if that would be the same, you guys. But I feel like, aw, Anna, I love you, girl. I love you. You know it. We'll see. We'll see. I do. I do. I do need a break. After this 4th year, if they don't exhume this grave to see if Summer's in it, that's going to be a hard one. That's going to be very hard on all of us. It's going to be hard on us. I will be very disappointed. I would be very, very disappointed. Because we need to know. We need to know. We really need to know where she's at. What's. But you know what? I think tomorrow night, I'd like to talk about scenarios, some scenarios of why this case ain't being handled righteously. Why is this case being handled differently? I'd like to talk about that, because that's something that's really bothering me. Put a 1 in the chat if it's bothering you. If it's really bothering you, why this case is being treated so much differently than other cases, put a 1 in the chat, because, this case has been treated differently than Megan Boswell, which is in Tennessee. It's been treated differently than the Trent case, Carly Trent. It has been treated differently, than other cases. And that super bothers me. Tomorrow is Friday, PG. Oh, yeah, it is. Thanks for reminding me. Hey, I'm going to be doing a happy dance, though, right? I'm going to be doing girl, you're going to make me do a happy dance when I get off of here. I'm going to be rock and rolling around the house when I get off of here. I'm going to be singing Do the Twist, right? That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be tomorrow. Oh, Lord. Yes, it's Friday. Weekend. Oh, PG gets the rest. God bless me. All right. Yeah, well, Lord God willing, I can't say I will. I got to say God willing. I'll be back Saturday evening. I do observe the Sabbath. That's true. I can't come in tomorrow night. I can't come in till Saturday evening. The Sabbath is from Friday evening to Saturday evening. So, if you observe the seventh, that's when you're supposed to do it, from Friday evening to Saturday evening. But God willing, we'll be back in here Saturday evening. And I would like to discuss that. I would like to discuss why. Look at some of the scenarios as to why Summer's, case isn't being treated like other cases. Something just is really wrong there. Something's really wrong there. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it because I need some clarity. I think you guys need some clarity. This is something we need to talk about. We need to try to figure out why. Maybe that would give us more understandings. We could see the overall picture here if we had more understandings on that as well. So we're going to definitely, dig into that one and try to get as much information as we can as to why it was being treated so much differently. And I'm going to make a few phone calls. I'm going to make a few phone calls to try to figure out why. I'm going to ask some questions because I want to know. I got one of those inquisitive minds that just need to know. And this has been bugging me for a long time, right? Ever since Ronnie promised us he'd solve her case and he didn't. It's been bugging me. Ever since his son got in trouble and it seemed like Summer's case wasn't worked on no more. It's been bugging me. So we're going to talk about that one. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave out of here, but I don't ever leave out of here before asking you to pray for Summer. Please, please, please send those prayers up for this little girl. I'm going to tell you guys something right now, right here. We serve a mighty, mighty, mighty big God. I mean, there is nothing God cannot do. We can't do nothing, but God can. He can do all things. I'm going to tell you, put your hands together, bow your head, and ask God, please, Lord, if law enforcement ain't going to go up there and do what's righteous to find out if this baby's there or not, then let that heel wash off into the middle of the road so she can be found. In the name of Jesus, amen. Pray for this baby. Pray that we get the answers and that we get to find the real truth and nothing but the truth on this case, because that's what we want. Send those prayers up, you guys. Send them up, because God is listening. He is listening, and through his son, Jesus Christ, he hears us all. Good night, everybody. God bless. Much, much love.